What's going on today, guys? We have a little bit of a complex recipe for you today. It's combining Mega's two favorite things. We got pecan pie and we got cheesecake bars. That's what we're making today. 3 layers. It's gonna take some time. It'll be worth it though. For this recipe, we're gonna be using an 8x8 brownie pan, and we gotta get started on layer number 1, which is of course going to be the crust. So basically we're gonna go crust, we're gonna go cheesecake, we're gonna go pecan topping. Pretty simple crust recipe. We're gonna start with 1.5 cups of almond flour. And if you guys are looking for a sale on almond flour, where do we get it from usually?
Costco.
Costco has good deals on almond flour, and I think even coconut flour now, right?
Yeah.
And we're gonna use erythritol here. This is 2 tablespoons, and this entire dessert recipe is going to be just lightly sweetened. You're gonna actually taste some of the good flavors. It's not just gonna be over the top sweetness. But if you want it to be over the top sweetness, you can add more. 25 drops of liquid stevia. That's about 1/4 teaspoon if you wanna measure it out. I like to just eyeball it. We're also gonna do a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and 4 tablespoons of butter melted. So I'm gonna melt this real quick. Okay, got my butter melted. I'm just gonna add it to the dry mixture here. And you don't actually need an egg for this crust, but it probably wouldn't hurt to throw an egg in here either. So I'm just gonna mix that together, and it'll be kind of sandy consistency like this. And the Mega's an expert at cutting the parchment paper to fit the bottom of the pan.
I just trace the bottom with a pen or a pencil, and then I cut it. You put it in, and you can grease these sides, but you can always lift out the cake or the brownies, whatever's in here.
I'm gonna spray it a little. Oh, Mega says spray the bottom, so I'll flip this over. All that's left to do, this is still kind of sandy, so we're gonna form it into the pan, like kind of use some pressure to get it to be a crust. I'm just gonna use the measuring cup to press it out. You're gonna have to use your hands for this. This would probably also be really good if you just bake the crust and then you break it up, and then it's like a nice like crumble topping. Okay guys, crust is looking perfect. I'm gonna pop this in the oven at 350 for 10 minutes. While the crust is in the oven, we are going to be making the cream cheese middle section, and we're gonna need 16 ounces of cream cheese, but if you can't find cream cheese, you might need to get Neufchâtel. This is all Mega could find at Sprouts. So I guess we gotta use this. This is cream cheese though, right?
Yeah.
So you need 2 bricks of cream cheese, room temperature preferably. And the trick is, since you probably don't have cream cheese just sitting out at room temperature, you can put it in the microwave on like power level 1 for a few minutes, and it'll basically be like room temperature. And to the cream cheese, we're gonna add another 2 tablespoons of erythritol. You need a little bit of sweetness in every layer. Here we're going with 50 drops of stevia, or 1/2 teaspoon. Mega always gets mad. I'm really committed to giving measurements in drops, but she always wants it in like teaspoons. And then 1 teaspoon vanilla. Are you guys concerned about the worldwide vanilla shortage? We barely break even on these recipe videos that use vanilla. And then 2 large eggs, also preferably at room temperature. If everything in this mixture is at room temperature, it's gonna be much easier to mix together. We should do like one of those GoFundMe things to just buy a 2-ounce thing of vanilla extract. All right, we're gonna be using a hand mixer here and just combining this cheesecake layer. This is what you get when you prepare by having everything at room temperature. See, it's nice. It's a nice mixture. Otherwise, there would just be like, you know, kind of cheesecake chunks all over the place.
Cheesy.
Cottage cheesy. So that is your cheesecake layer. Layer 2. We're gonna set this aside and work on the pecan layer. Okay, guys, we're moving on to the 3rd dream layer, Inception. And if this recipe is getting complex, like a little confusing, the link on how to make everything, all the ingredients, that is below in the description. It's on our blog, ketoconnect.net. So to this little saucepan here, over medium heat, we're gonna add 4 tablespoons of butter, 1/2 cup of heavy cream.
You're gonna eyeball?
I'm gonna eyeball the heavy cream. Tell me how close I got, 1/2 cup. Right there. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And 25 drops of stevia. I'm told that's about 1/4 teaspoon.
You're right.
And we're just gonna bring this up to a boil, constantly stirring. Crust is looking good. We're gonna pull that out. It was in for 10 minutes. Right when you see the edges turning a little brown, it's good. The middle should still be nice and tender. We're gonna let it boil for a minute and then turn it off. See it kind of bubbling up there? Okay, so this has boiled for a minute. You can see it's like a lot thicker It's not super thick, but it is a little bit thicker. And we're gonna let this cool before we add the pecans and the vanilla. And we're also gonna let this pie crust cool. And then we're going to assemble everything. Okay guys, we're back. We got all 3 layers here. We got the crust. And I put this in the freezer for a little to get it to cool down really quickly. We got the cheesecake middle. And then here we have the 3rd layer, which is the butter and the cream. And it's thickened up a little bit. And to that, as it's cooled, we're gonna add a teaspoon of vanilla just to get that vanilla flavor going all throughout. Okay, see now that's a waste of vanilla right there. That's $7 worth of vanilla I just wasted. And we got 1.5 cups of pecans. We're gonna add that right in there. So we're just gonna mix the pecans in a little, get it all coated, and this makes it a really thick layer for the topping. And this also helps it so the pecans don't just burn, because we're gonna bake this for 40 minutes. And if you've ever baked with pecans before or walnuts, you know they just like immediately burn. They're the gasoline of nuts. We have a spatula. We're gonna put the cheesecake filling in here. Perfect, and then you're just gonna spread this out. And we also have a few no-bake cheesecake recipes on our website. If you guys wanna look at those are really good too. So there's layer 2, and then last up we have this pecan layer. And if you do wanna make this all sweeter than we're making it here, you can throw some erythritol in here too. Then you got like a pecan, more of like a sugary topping. A lot of good flavors going on here. Now we're gonna put this in the oven for 40 minutes, but keep an eye on it. You're gonna wanna check on it probably around 30 minutes. Make sure the pecans don't burn. We'll be back as soon as it's done. Okay guys, we're running out of daylight here. So this was in the freezer for 30 minutes to try and get it to cool. I don't think it's fully cooled yet, but how good does that look? Check that out. And it's a good thing we used the parchment paper. This would be pretty tough to get out, I think. There we go, okay. Yeah, it's still pretty warm. It smells like that peanut toffee stuff that old people like a lot. I like it a lot too, but look at that. Layers. I'm going in for a taste test.
Yeah.
Wow. I like how sweet it is. You definitely get like the tanginess of the cheesecake. It's not too sweet. It's not like Cheesecake Factory. I've never actually been there, but I just assume it's like very sweet, right? You get the flavor of the crust. You get the flavor of the topping. Cinnamon's coming through. I mean, the layers. It's really hard to get a good cake like this where the layers are so pronounced and it's not like crumbly or anything either. It's just like perfect. This is like a real... Because when you're using traditional ingredients like sugar, flour, it's much easier to make something like this, but using keto ingredients is pretty tough. That is a great recipe. It would be even better at like served cold. The blog post, the ingredients, the directions is in the description of this video. Check out our food blog, ketoconnect.net. We got all kinds of recipes, a lot of desserts. I know you guys like those. Thanks for watching.